We get so wrapped around the idea of identity that we don't realize it. And I want to talk really quick about something I saw that as I thought about it, it helped to break down the kind of the nature of ego and identity and how contrived it is, right? And contrived as in it is a construction of the mind, and there's not a lot of truly universal objectivity to it. I drove by a car that had a bumper sticker on it that said platelet donor, right? As in somebody who donates blood or, platelets. And I thought, what an interesting thing to put on your car. How many times does one need to donate platelets before they can consider themselves a platelet donor? One, you donated platelets, but then how about the person who donated 5 times or 50 times or 100 times? And yet if there are things like that, like, for example, if you went around and said, well, I donated to charity, so I am charitable, but I did it one time, right? Do you get to be charitable as a identity trait the rest of your life? Do you get to go around telling people, I truly am charitable, right? I acted like Jesus once, so I am Christian. It's just interesting. And again, I'm pointing those things out, and I want to make clear, I'm not trying to sound judgmental, though I fear I maybe am, but I just want to point out that the idea of I am, a descriptor versus the more, I think the harder, but honestly the more truthful way to describe oneself is I try to decide, value X, Y, or Z in a given situation. So I try to donate platelets often, right? That's an action-based thing. I try to be like Jesus, or, insert your favorite example of kindness or boldness or generosity or courage or whatever. It is interesting just to think how often we tend to lead with this I am a thing, and yet how many times do you need to do that thing, right? If I donate platelets one time, I'm now a platelet donor. But if I'm, if you were to go around, people go, oh yeah, I'm a Christian. Like I once, thought about acting like Jesus and did it back in, 1997. You're like, well, that's an odd way to phrase it. Have you done it lately? Oh, no, I haven't cared about it, in decades. Oh, well, then that's an odd thing to say, I'm a Christian, right? Or I'm not a Christian or whatever, right? So just consider that. It was just an interesting thought process that occurred to me that I'd want to share sitting here in my car as I'm driving along. But just to encourage us to not get so wrapped around the idea of I am a thing, and perhaps more along the lines of what do I want to accomplish? Because today, right, like no matter how many times you were kind, right, I am kind, you could still act like a jerk today, and that'll still be obnoxious to interact with. No matter how many times you were helpful in the past, you could still decide poorly today, right? And if you value helpfulness, if you want to be considered a helpful person, the irony there is stop worrying about the egocentric view of it, of what is my image, and instead just think, well, how do I look for an opportunity to help today, to live out the value that I want to see in the world? I'm Neil Oler. Thanks for being here. I appreciate you, and I'll catch you next time.